We are back. Episode 17 of You're Already Accepted, a community rewatch. Here we are. We have the aerodynamics of gender. We also have cooperative calligraphy. So let's go into some plot synopsis real fast.
That's an awfully hot coffee pot. So
that's an awfully.
In this episode, we start over a beautiful basketball court. Troy and Jeff are playing basketball, and then Abed is there.
Yeah, just kind
of there, and
in sport clothes.
Right, another instance of Abed is definitely not an athletic person, but he was in this universe. He's faster than Troy, right? Yeah. Well, the girls are being girls, the group of girls.
All the girls in the bathroom talking.
All these beautiful girls. I will kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going. Okay. Nope, we're not doing that. So those are we have three main plot points. So you have Jeff and Troy have this secret trampoline area where it's removed from anything else that's Greendale.
It's like Narnia.
It's like Narnia. Yeah. See, I was trying to think, is it Narnia? Is it the Secret Garden?
I think it's a little bit of both. Maybe
A little bit of both. And it's their secret, and they always go there during the day, and they jump on the trampoline, and there's this guy Joshua who's the caretaker there, and he shows them the joys of trampolining and the serenity there. So that's sort of probably the main plot point.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'd say so. And then the other plot is Shirley, Britta, and Annie don't like the popular girls. They just call them bitches, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Hillary Duff.
Hillary, is that who it is?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Anyway, and so they use Abed to become the popular girls, essentially, because Abed is calculating and analytical, so he can point out people's flaws, which is honestly really funny. Look at that high-waisted man, he got feminine hips.
Yeah.
John Mulaney. But the longer it goes on, then Abed loses control, or he takes it too far, and then there's that. And then the third plot point is Pierce is really just trying to be relevant with the group, and I honestly feel for him because he shows up and he wants to play basketball with Jeff and Troy, and they're no, he shows up with an RC drone because they had RC cars and they moved on from that, and then later on he wants to play basketball with them and they moved on from that.
He's always a little behind the trends.
Right? He
streets behind.
Yeah, exactly. Which admittedly at the Lighthouse or Campus Ministry, it was always that. It was oh, well, Caleb's playing Pokemon Go, so that's what all the guys are going to do. All right, well, let's go play floor hockey. That's what all the guys are going to do. All right, let's go play Among Us. That's what all the guys are going to do. We're going to have a Minecraft night. That's what all the guys are going to do. And then it's just, who... I hate that there's always one person who gets to decide what's cool. Yeah. But at our high school, it was Clayton Cook in my grade. It was Clayton, I love you, man, but I'm jealous that you were always the person who got to be the one decide that, just bring back Smashy Road for a week and people would do that, or bring back balls for
Trivia Crack.
Yeah,
what's the game of the week, basically?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he's sitting on the table during lunch and be and I pronounce to you. Yeah.
Right. And so I feel Pierce is kind of he's like you even said, he's streets behind. He's not quite in on the lingo of the cool kids. But that's really what we see, and then hijinks ensue as per usual with Community. So, Jonathan, what were your A+ scenes for this episode?
Bit of a guilty pleasure for me. I just love sports scenes and non-sports shows.
The basketball scene in Catwoman.
Yeah, a perfect example.
The baseball scene in Twilight.
Actually, I love that scene, honestly, to this day.
Unironically,
yeah,
slaps.
So yeah, just watching them compete, Troy and Jeff was a little fun. I really honestly wanted more of that game at the beginning.
They actually make it look legit too. It's actually just them playing pick-up basketball between takes.
Joel McHale shooting it and then it kind of swings a completely different shot right up to the net where the ball goes in.
Or we talked about this during the football episode whenever Troy is trying to get recruited to the football team. Mm-hmm. And his throw, it doesn't look really that great for someone who's supposed to be a quarterback, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But in this, you could honestly believe that Jeff or Joel McHale and Donald Glover were playing pickup games between episodes.
Yeah.
And then they just included that as,
we actually brought on a stage basketball choreographer and we were training in between scenes.
Yeah.
Well, Michael Jordan was filming Space Jam. They built a basketball court for him and NBA players came to play. And there was
Did you know that to prepare for the role of Bonesaw in Spider-Man 2002 that Randy Savage spent 30 years as a professional wrestler?
Worth every second.
For 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Did your wife make it for you?
Your husband.
Your husband.
Yeah, which is
right.
why
Did your
that
husband?
episode is like, or that quote is maligned.
I also loved. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit. I guess
You can talk about it now.
Yeah.
Let's just get it out there. The low hanging fruit.
Yeah,
Best part of the episode.
arguably, honestly, but like the racist reveal is just hilarious.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's so memorable. Like,
Yeah.
this is the thing that I remember when thinking about this episode. I guess that and like I don't know. I should talk about that later. But yeah, I just thought it was good and like.
So for folks who might not know what you're referring to, what is the racist reveal?
So Joshua is like a screaming Nazi, basically.
Yeah, that's.
And like,
Oh man, Joshua was racist.
yeah,
It came out of nowhere.
yeah.
Did it?
That's what I get for not
Keeps
trusting
out the
black.
darkness.
Wait, what?
I like how they had those two actual quotes and then just
Yeah,
straight.
it's gonna be amazing.
He has a swastika tattoo on his chest.
Which I quote that too much. I feel
Right.
like there's been too many times where I've quoted that.
But
It's gonna be amazing.
It's
Usually you and me
yeah,
and
it's
like
me and Ethan.
yeah,
It's
making
Christian.
fun of like racists. Like it's
Also,
gonna be
folks, we're
amazing.
sorry that our voices sound exactly the same. We're trying to work on that. Ethan, what were your A+ scenes for the episode?
So I mean, I'm gonna cut this down a little bit because I think we got a time crunch outside of the show. So
Time is linear.
I do like I'm making Jeff he throws the basketball at the girls and it bounces off or tries to throw it at the drone, I guess. He's like, oh, sorry, it was an accident. And Britt has a really awesome burn. She's like, so was the Y chromosome, but you don't see us throwing stuff at it. I don't know why I was dying at that so much. And then whenever Pierce and Leonard are like in the library and Pierce like enhance. All right, enhance. And I print that out. And it's the like PDF of like how to save photos from your spy camera. And yeah, it is a cliche. Like that shows make fun of the enhance like thing from CSI. But I think this is a exception. They're like, okay, this is a good like twist on that joke. It's clever. It's a clever like twist on that cliche. And yeah, I agree. Like the racist reveal is just it's such a out of nowhere great execution of like wrapping up that story, and it's just so makes me laugh every time I see it.
Also, a like kind of really the political climate since like 2015, but like out before that, a reference to white guilt. I didn't even catch it when I was like younger watching this. Like it was like, oh, like interesting. But
well, so I think like the brilliance of it is that not only do we just now saw that Pierce got, which we know Pierce is going to ruin everything. Pierce got the trampoline taken down. He got it all shut down because he was stupid and wanted to get it bounced. So then it's like, okay, well, darn, the cool place is gone. Troy and Jeff have lost their like serenity heaven, their Garden of Eden or whatever. And then, oh, by the way, the guy that owned it was a racist. And like, oh man, that just comes out of nowhere. Well, did it? But I know they're brilliant community. Like I feel like a lot of shows just wouldn't have that extra. Like it's already a funny episode. And then like the reveal just brings it home for me. I love it. It just makes me laugh every time. But Christian, what do you got for A+ scenes and lines?
I really, I don't know. Chang, like I mentioned in the last episode, this is sort of his descent from stardom for me. Like this whole episode, I kind of appreciate that he's just like the whole like background character, like oh snap, and and no one acknowledges him. He's like Mr. Poopy Butthole, like oh my gosh, all right, I'm here with you, Jeff, with you, Rick. I like he's like Jeff just casually gets up in the middle of the study room scene and closes the door on Chang, and he's just standing there.
His face,
that was good.
They acknowledge it for like a split second, and they just move on with the scene. I don't know the pacing of that, and like it's just brilliant. I really like that. Like Ethan said, immediately after Pierce breaks his leg, illegal trampoline, right? Illegal trampoline. Like he's just got no self-awareness at all. And then Abed's self-roast that he gives to Megan to like give her status back. First of all, like that secures Abed's spot as leading the class for me, that he recognized that he went too far, so he was willing to like have self-destruct codes written. And I don't know, just the idea that she's like, we're ashamed of ourselves, so we're bitches to cover it up. You do it to fit in, and you never will. And I'm like, dang, like Abed wrote that about himself, but like Yeah, and there's
that's like
yeah.
now that you said
right,
that out
and
loud,
there's another line. There's another thing that she says after that really hit with me, but I don't remember.
I don't remember exactly either, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And it was just
When you realize that's harsh, but like when you realize that he wrote that about himself,
right,
like that's sad. Like, dang, Abed, like,
dang, Abed, go off on yourself.
yeah.
Respect though, like,
yeah, and I don't know, just we've talked about this a couple times now on the podcast, at least twice that I can think of, but like Abed is never a villain. He just does, like, he's just there. Like he never does it to be evil. He's doing it because he thinks that it helps his friends.
He's more like the environment, like you know, like the ocean. Like the ocean's
right.
not evil. It just is.
Right.
And like sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's like
a lapsing wave on the shore.
Yeah, exactly. So it's completely destructive. Like, you know,
right.
It's
or like, and like once he becomes evil Abed, like that's not even really him. That's his parallel dimension. Even though he's made it up, it's still not Abed being evil. It's evil Abed taking over.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that shade of the character. That like he is true neutral on the, you know, like Jeff is chaotic good.
Oh, we're doing D&D now. Yeah, he's chaotic.
Britta is chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
Annie is lawful good. Shirley is lawful evil, lawful neutral.
Yeah,
maybe. The Dean is chaotic neutral. Chang is true evil.
Yeah.
Right. Did I already say Pierce? I'd say he's lawful evil.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I probably should have written this down, but it's sort of spur of the moment. But
there's probably a chart somewhere you can look up.
Yeah. Community.
Yeah, community. There's
probably a bunch of those. The Dalmatian is true neutral. But yeah,
I guess I'll mention this now. So maybe it's because like I'm like a romantic, but like there was just like a brief moment where I'm like, I've been Hillary Duff. Like in this
no,
universe?
I read your notes before I watched it just because I happened to see that, and when I watched the scene after I read that, like when I was watching it, and I could see it. Like I wouldn't have thought of that, but there's some sparks there,
right?
See, I feel like,
and that would be something that they do in the show too. Of like,
yeah, it's like
how did you pull Hillary Duff, right? Like, how'd you pull Megan?
Yeah.
Like, but the dandruff shampoo and that hair is a combination. Like, all right,
yeah, like. Yeah, like she appreciates like, oh, I have no ego or something like that. Like I can see like there's something I can like.
It takes a big man to realize that he's, you know, I don't know, you know, something like she realizes like, oh, well, you wrote that about yourself. I respect that about you, you know, or
like
something.
There's something.
Yeah,
but all right. Go.
So this makes me sound really dumb. Was Hillary Duff in Mean Girls?
Nah, that was Rachel McAdams or Lindsay Lohan was like the main.
Who was
the main girl? Was Lindsay Lohan.
Right, I knew that. But then who was Regina George? That was Rachel McAdams?
Yeah.
Rachel McAdams.
Oh my gosh.
I know, like
Doctor Strange, you need
I know.
You care so much.
I kind of forgot that she was in that.
Right.
And I watched what was I watching? Doctor Strange, I knew she's in. I was watching she's in Game Night, the movie I've seen with Jason Bateman, which is honestly a good movie. I was like, wait a minute. That's Regina George. I didn't even put that together till now. There was like you just like saw like her facial expression or something.
Right.
It was like a facial expression. I realized
Hillary Duff is Lizzie McGuire. Yeah. Knew that. And then she's also in Food Fight.
She was in Cinderella Story too.
What?
She was in like Cinderella Story.
Right. But like that whole era of like early 2000s like Disney teen comedies, like you have Rachel McAdams, you have Hillary Duff.
They kind of run together.
You have Ashley. No, and Amanda Bynes. That's what I was thinking of. Amanda Bynes. Yeah. But you also have
Ashley Tisdale.
And
Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana.
Right.
I feel like Julia Stiles was kind of in that too for me because she was in like 10 Things I Hate About You, and she had like that run where she was kind of like really big.
She was in Silver Linings Playbook as the horrible wife. I don't know why it was the.
Whoa! I didn't even think, dude. What a reference! Oh my goodness! I
haven't seen it.
Boom. Just because I realized I looked up the cast of people in that movie. Because funny story, whenever I was a junior in high school, the girl that I had a crush on was like, you should read this book. You kind of remind me of the main character. And I was like, you think that I'm mentally ill? She's like, no. I think that you have an optimistic look on life. And
I think you're Bradley Cooper. Like,
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That book, honestly, like, I know it's like a traditional like rom novel, but I actually really enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you care if we go to extra credit?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So as we've like talked about before, Joe McHale played like college football. I'm like, okay, just knowing all the athletes I know, like usually college athletes play multiple sports in high school, or like play multiple sports growing up. And I'm like, again, this is just me wanting more of the basketball scene, but I'm like, you don't let Joel McHale get one offensive drive, and we just watch him get beat. I guess he takes like a great punt, but like, I was frustrated about that. I'll just be honest.
They said that he was the worst Husky tight end ever.
Damn.
I was like, wow. Did he go to UConn?
He went to Washington.
Yeah, Washington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the Washington was the Huskies too.
Yep. Yeah. So we're still on extra credit, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this isn't me. I have to give credit to IMDb, but apparently I learned that whenever it shows Abed like RoboVision, he's doing the RoboCop. There's apparently a lot of Easter eggs. If you will pause that, and I should have gone back and looked, but I'm going to take IMDb as truth. It has like synopsis for the episode, like in it.
Yeah.
And then it also like references future like things that are like the interview with Starburns,
right?
Making a blanket fort,
right? And
getting the group to do another Paintball episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the one that like is the last before he shuts down is that he needs to secure Rudolph for Christmas. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the 60s claymation.
Oh.
He needs to confirm Mom for Christmas. Oh, and then build a blanket fort. Yeah, those.
Yeah. And then also, it's something about the cycles for Britta,
right,
and the girls, which
right.
we in the next episode we get that reveal. So,
but the fact that he secures the claymation movie, that's what inspires his Abed Special Christmas, which I'm really excited to look at because it's like my favorite episode. And then confirm Mom for Christmas. Like, if you don't know what's coming, yeah,
you
don't even know. The only extra credit that I liked was just like in any scene where they're in like the trampoline garden is that like the overexposure of all like they deliberately change the camera of like it's like this nice serene perfect like
very bright
clear skin
Mm-hmm.
When Pierce gets double bounced and he yells father.
Get off my mommy, she's my man.
Double bounce me or I'll tell everybody. Oh gosh.
I hate you.
Yeah.
I think
when like Joel McHale's gonna grab the scissors to stab.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god.
I didn't catch that before.
Yeah, the shears or whatever.
There are a couple moments though where Pierce makes Troy cry. And it's like this sounds like we talked about Britta's bad past, but this is like Troy's bad present. Like, like his current like because then there's the secret handshake. Like earn your money, slut.
Yeah.
So for final thoughts, I really liked the idea. They're like both of the messages that kind of came through were really good. I don't like that this is the start of Pierce's OD storyline.
Yeah, I hate that.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Yep. Whenever he finally does, but I like the message that like, if a paradise exists that's exclusive and its access is not really paradise. I don't really know how that applies to my life, but I like the sentiment. And I'll have to kind of like work on that going forward. But I also like the idea of like, everybody is at the mercy of everybody else. Of like at any time you could really honestly say something horrible to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And so recognizing that you have those thoughts and that other people have those thoughts means that there has to be forgiveness on both sides. I'm like, oh, that's a good sentiment. Of like, I feel like in our family, everybody's very passive aggressive. And so I've been trying like in the last year or so to like really get away from that and not be so like, what's the word, cynical, even though I know I really am deep down. And so it's like, okay, I can forgive my family members for like just having that really like sterile view of like my life of like, oh, we don't have a girlfriend yet. Are you working right now? Like they want the best for me, but it comes through as like this very, family disappointment kind of thing. So
still, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if I had to give this a rating for the episode, I would give it a sharper image dancing robot out of Airhog's attack helicopter, RC helicopter. So
why?
Love it.
Because that's the Pierce has an RC drone.
Oh, right. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I missed. I was like, toys? Like, are they trampoline?
Trampoline?
All right. Originally I gave it like a 6 out of 10. I really should, but I'll be honest, I wasn't in the best mood when I was watching. So it's probably like a 7 out of 10 episode. Like I do like I think there's good stuff here. I think it's very memorable as an episode. Whether it's like the comebacks, which honestly, like I was thinking about it, was there like a comeback or a quip from Abed that I was like, ooh, snap? Like there really wasn't one for me. That
it's just like rapid fire
for the burns.
Yeah, for the burns.
There was some that made me kind of laugh.
Right? The one whose sleeves are pushing her fat towards her elbows. The one whose
I'm honestly blanking on
Yeah.
that now, but there was some the one about the something with like the makeup. You look like a vampire. He says something like, "You look like a
something like
vampire.
that.
Your makeup doesn't match your face." He says something about
Which I've definitely seen that on
looks like
before.
it looks like you're smoking like a pomegranate and a watermelon or something.
watermelon,
Like you need to put a lining in your
Or
bra.
uneven bra padding.
Yeah,
Made me snarf, yo.
yeah. There's some good ones. I think it's just the rapid fire. They're and the fact that it's Abed. They're probably really not that funny, but the fact that they just come out of nowhere like really quick makes it funnier.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that this is a good episode. 8 out of 10 for me. It's got some good lines like the Abed burns and just again the reveal that Joshua is racist always gets me. But Pierce is so annoying in this episode that it kind of brings it down for me. And I agree, I don't really like the Pierce Pill storyline, so this is kind of the start of that. But overall, like it's an enjoyable episode. I'd say it's probably not like a rewatchable one, like one I just want to go back to all the time.
Yeah.
But for it just kind of being like a random episode in the middle of the season. It's also like bookended by two like some of the best of the series.
Yeah.
With epidemiology before this, and then we're going to get to cooperative calligraphy next. I'd say it does pretty well. It probably just is hurt by the fact that it's surrounded by two really good ones. So not a bad episode. But let's move on to cooperative calligraphy. Unless you guys have anything else on aerodynamics and gender.
I don't think so.
Nah.
All right. Christian, you want to give us a synopsis about cooperative calligraphy?
Bottle episode. So Annie has misplaced her pen, and the group needs to figure out who took Annie's pen. And that's literally the whole episode.
Yep.
So before we break into like the A+, so like what are some of can you think of any of like the reasons why somebody might have stolen the pen? So Troy might have stolen the pen because Britta might have stolen it because she never brings anything to prepare herself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Troy couldn't have stolen the pen because he doesn't even like keeping track of his own. Shirley might have stolen it because I don't remember why she could have stolen it.
There's never really reasons for why somebody would steal it.
I do like the absolutism that they use for the logic of like Annie would be, or Annie would have been the most likely person to find it halfway through and then not tell anybody about it because she feels guilty. And so even though they already checked her bag, like that would be the last place that people would look if she put it in there.
They definitely like do a very good job of each character and their personality of like that's tied into the reason why they did or didn't steal the pen. Like Jeff's is like he uses his lawyer logic. Right. Pierce is like, is it increasingly obvious that Jeff stole the pen? Like,
right, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel like for my A+ scenes for this episode, that was a lot of the stuff I enjoyed was like just the logic and I like before they lock down the room that Jeff is trying to tell Annie to just let it go and it was just an accident. She's like, no, accidents don't just happen over and over and over again. This isn't budget daycare. And I was like, oh my gosh.
I know.
Annie,
I was like, damn, Star.
I can see that being like a trade union, labor union, like, oh, bring your kids to the car dealership. We'll have them like playing on top of an old 1972 like Ford Pinto. Like one kid got his hands
play inside and we'll never just outside 100 degrees.
Right. Sometimes the doors lock on accident. So.
We used to play at the feed store when we were kids. Like Grandpa's feed store. Just on like run around on bags of feed.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't get hurt or like land on like a rusty nail or something. Yeah.
Like fall behind the
or get like, like dust inhalation in our lungs. Yeah.
It was budget daycare for sure. I like that Britta's excuse to leave is that she has to take close-ups of her grandma's hands for photography class. And like Ethan did photography in 4-H whenever we were like 7 or 8. And like that was what most people did was like their grandma's hands.
It's black and white.
And black and white. Or like somebody had like a statue of an angel out at a cemetery or, the rocks that are on the side of the road. And like that's just the most like middle school photographer, and that even kind of comes back in the Civil War documentary of like, just because a picture is in black and white doesn't mean it's profound. Like, I like we kind of joked about the whole exchange between Britta and Shirley of like, what if I do it, it's larceny, but if Mother Hen does it, it's an accident. And Mother Hen, we're the same age. And then Britta's like, we are, unless time is linear. And then Shirley's like, I'll make your ass linear. Britta's like, that doesn't make any sense. And then Shirley like kind of like does the Forrest Whitaker eye, and she's like, I'll make your ass sense. And just like they're progressively nonsensical, like, the group is sort of descending into madness. I really like that. And then just the idea of like, honestly, I get it. If Annie wants people to bring back her pens because I am very tribal about my G2 pens. Like I have one on my counter right now, and if it goes missing, I know it's one of you guys.
Or a monkey.
Or a monkey.
In your
Or a
vents.
ghost. We can acknowledge that one of us is a horrible person or ghosts did it. So I like that.
Go for it.
I really like Berta's monologue about civil liberties and first a little look-see into your bag, and then the thought police are making you bend and spread. And Jeff goes, bend and spread? Are the thought police going to make love to us? And just this delivery on that. Yeah, I agree. The Shirley and Britta like snark, make your ass linear.
Yeah.
And then Pierce pretending to have a blood clot, and then he grabs
Yeah.
Shirley's bag and throws it. That's so funny. It's a great throw too by Pierce, but him like
And
being like knowing when he needs to fake
Right.
a blood clot
and then
and to
he
be
has
useful.
the funniest line of the whole episode. Where it's like, you people are all talking, no action. People like you are the reason we took so long to get into Vietnam.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. That's a good line.
Like I literally paused and laughed at the episode and tried to type it on my phone on the notes. And I was like, that is, I miss the days when you could feel up a girl and get punched in the face by a Republican.
One of our favorite lines from the show. I think we've quoted that probably more than any other thing on this podcast. And there's a lot of other lines, and the whole episode's great. I didn't want to just quote the whole episode. So, Jonathan, you got any A+ scenes or lines that we haven't already talked about? Or
I really like the kind of the opening, I guess, kind of the cracking of the egg of this episode, which is like, you have, what's his name? What's her name? You have Annie like being like, no, it's not cool. And then like, you know, I'll say Shelby. Gosh, Shirley turns around like, you know what? You're right. Like
Shirley Shepherd.
We'll do better. And then like, you think that's like kind of it. And then she's like, Annie's just like, ah! Like, just starts yelling. I was like, one, like she yelled for like 4 seconds. I was like, oh my goodness, my throat just thinking about that hurts. But I don't know. I love like just the expression, like the explosive emotion of that.
That scene almost made me give the best of the class to Annie.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm like, you can't. I don't want to get ahead, but I'm just going to go ahead and say now, like all 7 are the leading class for me. I can't give just one because they all do great. But yeah, that scene with like Annie was like, ah! And we've talked about that before, like her facial expressions and her like, the way she changes her voice, like inflection, and just like the way she maces herself or pepper sprays herself in the face, and then she starts screaming. Great acting by Alison Brie.
Truly.
Sorry, continue.
Well, then also, yeah, I think you might have just said it there, where it was like just starting to go crazy, and he tears up the carpet. He's like, it's just a pen. Like she kind of has that kind of voice, like
it's not a principle anymore.
A pen. It's just, yeah. Oh my goodness.
And then they start stripping down, like, oh yeah, well, and then like, it's so dramatic, and they slowly turn on each other, and it's awesome.
Gosh, which we talk about like. I know we all hate like gross gag humor, but like when they take off Pierce's cast, I was like, oh gosh, I hate it.
You can imagine smelling it.
Oh yeah, I can imagine now. What does Troy say?
It smells like.
He describes it.
Yeah,
it's like a hot. What did you say? Gosh, I'm gonna have to look that up.
I want to say like it smells like it's a skating rink or something. So it gave me flashbacks to like whenever we'd have.
I gotta look it up because it's an awesome line.
Right,
they're hilarious. You guys can keep talking. I'll look it up.
No, but and then like they like find like a Slim Jim in there, and like gosh,
we're on our third TV remote.
Yeah,
Pierce, have you been using Slim Jims?
Yeah,
I thought we were already past the point of judging each other.
I know. Yeah, we passed the point of judging each other. I was like, you're right.
So, because I know that in the like season 4 or 5, whenever the Germans come back, so season 4, I guess, and like so you were the Nazis the whole time. There's a cutaway gag to like all the times the group wouldn't let people in the study room, and this is one of them of like them having the table flipped over because they're naked. And see, I was trying to remember. There's another part in that flashback where Jeff doesn't let Garrett into the room. He's like, "Hey, we kind of have a thing going on in here," but what? And it wasn't this episode. But what episode is it? You know what I'm talking about? In that flashback, because whenever Jeff said lock down the room. I wanted that to be like, see, he doesn't talk to Garrett, so it doesn't work. But that's not the same episode. You know,
yeah.
It's the whole logic of why didn't Yoda talk about Ahsoka in Return of the Jedi because she didn't exist at the time, or it's not Rex who's the old guy on Endor because Rex didn't exist yet in the Star Wars universe. But yeah, did you find the quote?
It smells like a Waffle House sink.
Yeah,
Waffle House, yeah. And like people hate on Waffle House, and I like it. I don't.
But you can imagine that a Waffle House sink would smell pretty bad.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because generally Waffle Houses already kind of smell weird.
A little bit.
But they are good.
Have you ever done the 24-hour challenge? Like you have to be in a Waffle House for an entire day, and every waffle that
Have you done it?
No, but I want to.
Oh,
Bro, that's
you know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I've heard that.
Yeah, every waffle you eat takes an hour off your session.
I've heard of it as like a fantasy football penalty for losing.
Yeah. So you never know. I might do that just for fun. But
who do you guys got for leading the class?
I picked Annie. I think everyone has good stuff. Like
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a all encompassing kind of answer. I just picked Annie because like she incited the whole conflict. Yeah, I think that's really why I picked her ultimately. And like I similar to you, like in the back of my head, like there's a part of me that's like would be pretty anal about like my pens and stuff like that. Like, so I get it.
And I kind of agree too. Like, it's not just about the pen; it's the principle that somebody would take something of mine. But the fact that it's just a pen, it's also makes it ridiculous. You see both sides. You see Annie's side, but you also understand that she's being a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
like logging everybody in the room basically, or not letting them go to the parade. But I already said mine. I said all 7 for me as leading the class. It's really hard to give it to just one, but I think you could basically make an argument for
it's a bottle episode, so everybody goes off of each other, right? I was gonna do the same thing and give it to all 7. And then I gave it to Pierce solely for the whole like stealing Shirley's bag and the whole line about getting into Vietnam. Because only Pierce would be like, yeah, we saw it as an opportunity to expand Hawthorne wipes into the Asian market. For the only thing for extra credit, it wasn't, I didn't really care much for like the trivia. But Jeff having the monologue about like whoever took the pen felt too embarrassed, like they took too long to come forward, and so they feel embarrassed. So we can all agree whoever took the pen can come forward now. And like that is the most relatable thing for me, because I feel that way about like turning left in traffic. Of like, okay, well I can go. Oh, now I can't go. Now I can't go. And then like, well, now it's definitely too late to go because that car's coming. And it's just like trying to gauge the right time. Like most people, they just kind of do it and don't think about it. But I make it awkward by thinking too much about it. So I'm like, I appreciate that sentiment by Jeff.
Yeah.
So I noticed a quote on the whiteboard at the very beginning, and it's somebody wrote down a quote by Pierce. Apparently, he mentioned this during their studying, and it says, "If we came from monkeys, how come we still have monkeys?" Which is both appropriate for this episode because of the reveal at the end that it was Annie's boobs that stole Annie's pen,
the monkey,
the monkey, but also just because, like, honestly, kind of a valid thought.
Yeah,
like, huh. I understand, obviously.
Checkmate, Democrats.
Yeah. Checkmate, atheists. Yeah. Prove evolution now. Yeah. This is also the second Beetlejuice mention of the 3. I think we've talked about that before. The first one, there's a long running joke that takes 3 seasons to get to.
Beetlejuice.
And then I didn't verify this, but I guess according to online research, you can actually see the pen getting stolen.
Yeah.
Whenever the dean walks in, if you look, I think you. I don't know if
you see the monkey like climbing into the vent, because I didn't do it for this walkthrough, but I have seen like YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Kind of
kind of interesting, and it's also fun that Dan Harmon would do that, because most people would just be like, "Yeah, the monkey stole it." But I need to go back and watch it, honestly, just so I can spot it again. But
just so I can say that I did it.
Yeah, exactly.
I survived the Annie's boobs instead of 2011.
Yeah. So I give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. It's one of the best episodes that has like the whole group, which usually the best ones are the ones that have the whole group. And everybody like gets a chance for their personality to shine.
Right.
Where it's really good balance of like, it's not just Annie and Jeff like arguing, or Britta and Annie or whatever. Like everybody gets...
It's the writing of the episode is solid for a sitcom. It's not, the jokes aren't on the level of like, oh, sex, oh, boobs, oh, political correctness, like
the sex. Yeah,
it's actual like you said, building off of characters' personalities and their traits.
And it actually, it is a bottle episode, so you can it's kind of like a standalone thing. But it actually does also, like, we get kind of a glimpse at Jeff and Britta having a secret relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because she said something about, don't you usually wear the striped ones? And then it's like, usually. And then we get kind of a hint of possibly Shirley being pregnant with Cheng's baby with the ovulation, and Troy realizes that the voicemail might mean something.
I guess we haven't even mentioned yet that Abed tracked the cycles of Shirley, Annie, and Britta.
That was good.
And again, it's like it's gross, but Abed is doing it like out of purely like objective reasons. Like in season 6, Elroy Potashnik has like CGI models of everybody's bodies, and that's gross. Like, he's gross, but like I was just like, oh yeah, it made sense to do it because I was tracking how to like treat you guys better.
Yeah.
Yeah. His reasoning while it's still messed up to do.
Right.
The reasoning kind of makes sense. I can see where he's coming from.
And once I started to realize what I was actually tracking, well, then
It was too late.
Oh my goodness.
What do you give it, Jonathan?
Well, what do y'all think of the name Gwynnifer? I didn't like it.
It sounds like a fake name.
So yeah, I guess we haven't talked about that yet, and I wasn't really going to bring it up because I didn't think it was important, but I don't think he actually has a date.
What?
Or he doesn't actually call his date. I don't think
He doesn't.
it doesn't seem like a real call.
Why would he fake calling then?
I don't know, but it just seems like he's being dramatic and like making a call. It just for one, Gwynnifer seems like a fake name, like he just made up.
But in Community, there's also a Kinder with a Q.
That's true. That's fair. But I don't. It just either he is faking it or it's just not good timing by Joel McHale in the scene where it actually to make it seem like a real phone call.
Yeah,
because he like picks up and starts talking immediately and then hangs up or like says why because I have pen related and then like hangs up like he's fake talking on a phone.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm reading into it if it's just bad acting by Joel McHale or if it actually is like he is
It's
faking
TV
the
show
phone
calls.
Yeah,
Right.
but
So I am not ashamed to admit that I have faked phone calls before. Like if I'm walking, like if I have to be like, hey guys, I'm leaving, and then I leave and I forget something inside, I'll pretend to be on the phone and be like, oh yeah, I found it. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the car now, and then I'll leave.
Yeah.
So
I usually fake like with my mom, or not with my mom, but like if I'm faking a phone call with
you fake one to your mom.
It's because you gotta answer your mom.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
Gosh,
I've done it before when I've like been at Walmart or something and I see somebody coming that I know but I don't want to talk to.
Right.
So I'll put my phone up like, oh hey, yeah, how's it
or you
going?
don't want to do the awkward what do I look at you now?
Right.
Or,
When do I
Yeah.
make eye
Or-
contact? I acknowledge
Yeah.
that we know each other. I don't know.
oh no, I'm way uptown.
I love the joke. There was a guy my freshman year of college who, if he was ever in an awkward situation, he would just like pull his shoe and be like, hello. Oh, sorry, wrong number. And just do that. Or like he'd like have his phone backwards and upside down. So it'd be like, you'd have his calculator app on or something. Like, yeah. So for the name Gwynnifer, that sounds like something I would have done. Like if somebody's name is Josh, I'd be like, so what's Josh short for? Joshifer? Josh Samuel? Like, I don't know. That's some humor that I like too. So I kind of feel like Gwynnifer is another, like,
No, I feel
Kind of feels like a LDS child name.
well,
This
like
is
a spicy
Chamberlain.
child.
Yeah.
Right. They already named their kids. Crap, I already forgot the LDS names.
This is
Lehi,
Chamberlain.
Levi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you rate this yet? The episode?
I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10.
Closer to an 8 than 9.
Yeah, closer to a 9. Let's face it, closer to an 8.5 than a 9. But
Okay.
but yeah, again, this is a very important community episode. One consistently referenced. Great dialogue. Like I was thinking about just for writing in general. I'm like, man, a bottle episode is that's work. Like that's writing. Like that's a job.
And even though it is a trope, I feel like it's not one that's practiced as much as like the only other good one that I feel like I've seen that I can think of is the MASH one where Hawkeye like crashes his Jeep and he's with the Korean family and he's like spends the whole time talking. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's what I got. Go for it.
Yeah, no, this is a great episode, and I feel like if I had to do a numerical rating, which I don't do on this podcast because that's my gimmick, it'd be pretty similar to you guys's. So I'm going to give this a Papermate Inkjoy out of Big Crystal variety pack. So Big Crystal is just like literally the ones that you get in a 20 pack with like the cap and then the clear body.
Yeah.
So Papermate Inkjoy is a gel pen that is not as good as a G2, but it's still really dang good. So I'm going to give it that. So Papermate, if you want to sponsor us for this podcast, we're still looking for sponsors. Otherwise, folks, this has been You Already Accepted, a Community Rewatch. It's been Christian, Jonathan, and Ethan. Hope you folks have a great rest of your day.